Good evening to all of you. I hope all of you can hear me clearly. I think we had two students and okay, Sulaksha is still joining. Right, okay. So good evening to all of you. I hope you might remember what we discussed during the last lesson. So we started discussing regarding synonyms, right? So what do we mean by synonyms? It is similar words, right? So another word which I can use in place of a particular word, right? So we discussed what is center and middle. So likewise, we discussed what are the or else I think we did not discuss this, but I showed you some examples from my content. So here we discussed few easy similar words or synonyms, right? And based on this, I actually gave you this homework to do at home. So I hope you might have tried it, right? So we can quickly, okay, so we can quickly discuss the answers. I hope if you are okay, right? So we have today Bhashita and Hansika, right? So we will discuss the answers, right? So the first word is funny. So you can see there is some person who has made a different face to look funny, right? So what do we mean by funny is when we look at that particular person or thing, we will laugh, right? Or we will be laughing looking at this kind of funny people, right? So can someone tell me what is the similar word we have out of these 5 words to the word funny? If anyone knows, you can raise your hands. Okay. All right. Bhashita, would you like to try? What is the similar word to funny out of these 5 words? Can you try?
Silly?
Yes, very good. So it is silly, right? So you can see here also there is this small girl who is making her face. So it looks silly, right? So we can say this girl looks silly, or else we can also say this girl has a funny look as well, right? So funny and silly are similar words or synonyms, right? And then if we move on to the second one, listen, right? So Sulaksha, would you like to try the similar answer to listen from here? Sulaksha?
Here?
Yes, very good, Sulaksha. Yes, so listen, or we also can say hear, right? So when I am talking, you listen to me, right? Or else I can say you hear what I say, right? And when you give your answers, I listen to your answers, or else I can say I can hear what you say. So listen and hear are similar answers, right? And the third one, the third word is sniff, right? So we will come back to Bhashita. So Bhashita, can you say what is the answer or what is the similar word to sniff?
Smell?
Yes, very yes, smell, right? So you can see here the pictures. So here the pictures are given so that it is easy for you to identify. So we can say if we want, let's say if we take a flower, we smell, right? So the flowers have nice smell. So we generally smell flowers, right? So sniff, it is somewhat similar to smell, but mostly we use the word sniff for animals, right? So maybe it can be a dog, it can be a cat. So they sniff, right? So even for people, we can say sniff, but rather it matches to animals, but it is a synonym for smell, right? And the fourth word is fast, right? So Sulaksha, would you like to try the similar word for fast?
Quick. Quick.
Yes, very good, Sulaksha. Quick, right? So fast means maybe I'm running, so my speed is so high. So in that case, I can say I run fast, or else we can also say quick, right? So what is the fifth word? Show, right? So this is, the word is show. So can Bashita try? What do we mean by show?
Push.
Yes, very good, Bashita. So you can see from the picture itself, this boy is pushing the girl, and here also you can see in the swing the boy is pushing the girl. So we can say shove and push are synonyms, right? So those are the answers for this activity. And then I think I gave you few more activities, right? So here I told you to try these two, this activity 5. And before moving on to that, here we are given some similar words, right? So I think I did not discuss these in detail. So do you know the meaning of these words, or should I explain them? Okay, I will just quickly explain it, right? So when it comes to center or middle, right? So we know if we say that I'm in the middle of the room, that means I'm at the center, right? So center or middle, right? So that is not, I'm not in a corner, but I'm in the middle, right? And dangerous and risky. Right, so what do we mean by dangerous, right? So we know we can say snakes are dangerous. Why? Because they may bite us, and if they bite, we may die even, right? So in that case, we can say the snakes are dangerous. Or a similar word would be risky. We cannot directly say the snakes are risky, but the meaning which we get from the two words would be similar, right? So if I'm doing something, let's say if I'm going to jump from top of a mountain, so it is going to be dangerous, right? So I'm going to do something which is dangerous, which we call as risky, right? And then we have glad and happy. So I know you might know the word or the meaning of happy. So we also can say glad in place of happy. I'm happy to see you, right? So likewise, I can say I'm glad to see you, right? And the next word is hard and difficult, right? So let's say maybe something hard. What is something difficult? Let's say the science exam was very hard, right? So it is not easy. So what do we mean by hard is it is not easy, right? So hard and difficult. So we can use it interchangeably. And intelligent and clever, right? So what do we mean by intelligent? That means a person. It can be a kid like you, or it can be a person who is older like us. If that person has good knowledge and if he's working well, we can say that person is intelligent, or else he or she is clever, right? And then we have the word new and modern. So new means we know something which we get now, which we did not have. Maybe let's say we are building a new house, so it is something new. So or else we can say we are having a modern house, right? So polite. So what do we mean by polite? I think I explained this already. So what do we mean by polite is if I'm talking to other people, if I'm treating the other people well, you can say that person is a polite person, right? So the same way we can say courteous, right? So you pronounce this word as courteous. So that means I'm courteous to the others, right? So that means I'm being polite to the others, right? And quick and fast, I think we discussed it several times. And then this is well known and famous, right? So we know famous singers, famous cricketers, famous actors. So what do we mean by famous is like many of the people in a society know them, right? So that is what we mean by famous, or else we can call it as well known, right? And then brave, right? So brave, something which is similar would be fearless, right? So let's say I met a lion, but I didn't get afraid, but I faced that lion. So in that case, somebody will say, okay, you are brave, or else they can say you are fearless, right? So these are some similar words which we get to use day to day. So why do we need to know these similar words? Is sometimes when we are writing, we cannot use or we cannot repeat the same word in our essays, right? So maybe I'm writing an essay, maybe I'm writing a paper article. So likewise, when we are writing, we cannot use the same word within the paragraph if it is repeating, as well as sometimes maybe if we want to make my writing look a little bit advanced, we can use advanced words, right? So maybe as an example, happy and glad, right? So we know happy is the word happy is something very simple, which we use every day or very frequently, but glad, maybe we are not using it more often. So in that case, if we use that word, it will give the reader an understanding that the person who is writing this particular essay or the article, that person knows a lot of vocabulary, right? So that means we can make our writing more advanced by using these synonyms, right? So that is why we need to know our synonyms, whether it is Sinhala or whether it is English. It is really important, right? And then if I'm not mistaken, I think I asked you to do these activities, the first one and the second one. So I hope you might have done this at home. I think the first one I actually explained. So you are given 4 words. Out of these 4 words, you need to select which 2 words have the same meaning, or else what are the 2 words which are synonyms, right? So the second question, so I think we can discuss the answers. So the 4 words which are given are walk, crawl, stroll, run, right? Walk, crawl, stroll, run, right? So can someone try which 2 words are synonyms here? Maybe
Crawl and stroll.
I think Ishini gave the answer. Yes. Can you repeat it, Ishini?
Crawl and stroll.
What do you mean by crawl? Can you explain? Okay, someone else, would you like to try what is the correct 2 words here or synonyms here Anyone else would like to try, or else is your answer is the same as Ishini?
Walk and stroll.
Yes, Sulaksha, good. So the two synonyms are walk and stroll, right? So stroll in the sense we are walking leisurely, right? So stroll means we are walking, but it is a little bit leisurely than a normal walk. So that is why we have it as stroll. But if we say crawl, it is not we are walking, right? So babies crawl, right? So whenever we have small babies, we know they cannot walk when they are like maybe few months. So they crawl. අපි සිංහලෙන් කියන්නේ බඩගාගෙන යනවා කියලා, right? So they crawl. So crawl means they are not walking. But when it comes to stroll, stroll means we are walking in a leisure manner, right? So that is why these two words we consider to be synonyms. So the two words should be walk and stroll, right? Good. So the third one, argue, scare, confuse, frighten, right? Argue, scare, confuse, frighten, right? So would someone like to try this one?
Scare and frighten.
Yes, very good. I think it was Sulaksha. Scare and frighten, right? So what do we mean by scare and frighten? That is, if there is something dangerous, we feel scared. We say, I'm afraid, right? So I'm afraid, I can say afraid is another synonym, right? Scare, I'm scared, I'm frightened, I'm afraid maybe of a lion, right? So when we see a lion, we feel afraid, right? So that is what we mean by scared and frightened, right? So what do we mean by argue? What do we mean by argue? So argue means if two people are, let's say they are having different point of views or different ideas, so they try to kind of fight, right? So it is not fight means not with their hands or legs, but using words, right? So argue means api තර්ක කරගන්නවා, ඒ කියන්නේ cutting අතෙන් පයෙන් ගහගන්නවා නෙවෙයි. So that is what we mean by argue, right? And confuse means I'm kind of let's say I'm not quite sure what is going on, right? So let's say I'm going to a place, right? So let's say I'm supposed to go to a meeting at 7 o'clock, but I go to the meeting about 5 minutes later. So when I go to that meeting after 5 minutes, I do not know what exactly have happened in the previous 5 minutes. So I'm not sure what is happening there. So that is what we mean by confused. I got confused because I'm not sure what is happening, right? Good. So we are moving on to the fourth one. So we have gift, honesty, present, and winner, right? So maybe Bashita, would you like to try this one?
Gift and present.
Yes, very good. Gift and present, right? So we are giving something, right? So when we, let's say, when you have your birthdays, your parents would be giving you something which makes you happy, right? So that is what we mean by gift. And also you may say, I got a present from my parents, right? So here again, this word present, it can be used for different meanings, right? So present, we know present means we can also denote the time, right? So we are presently, let's say in 2021, right? So it is like we are talking about the time, right? So future, past, and present, right? So we can also use this word for the timing as well, but in this case we can use in place of gift, right? And what do we mean by honesty? So what do we mean by honesty? Means being truthful to others, right? So let's say when I'm at home, by mistake I broke something, right? So once at that time my parents were not there, and they come later and they think who has broken this. So if I go and say, I'm sorry, it was my mistake, I broke it, that means I tell them the truth. So I'm being truthful to my parents, right? So that is what we mean by honesty, right? And the next word is winner. So we know what is a winner, right? So the person who gets some places in, it can be in a competition, it can be in some other, let's say a race. So the person who wins, we call him or her a winner, right? So the fifth one, right? So sing, paint, color, write. So who would like to try this? Maybe Ishini, would you like to try this one?
Paint and color.
Yes, very good. Paint and color, right? So let's say I'm drawing a picture, and once I draw, I will have to paint it, right? So I will take different colors and I can paint, right? Or else I can say, I'm going to color the picture I drew, right? So we can use it interchangeably. And sing, we know what do we mean by sing, and then write, right? So I think this is also very familiar to you, write and sing, right? So that is the first part of the activity. And then we have to write a synonym for each word given, right? Okay, so we will just right. Okay, so we will go with this. So silent, would someone like to tell me what is maybe one or two words, if you know what we can write here, a synonym for silent? Yes, anyone?
Reserved. Why?
Sorry, I didn't hear you. Can you repeat? I think two of you gave answers. Can you repeat?
Reserved.
Ishini, I think I still didn't hear what you said.
Reserved.
Reserved. You mean reserved, this one? Wait, I will type it here. Am I right?
Yes, teacher.
Right, okay. So I think what you mean by here is maybe if a particular person is not talking with others, and he or she is not moving with other people, yes, we can say that person is a very reserved person, right? So in that way, yes. Or else we can say he or she is a very silent person. So in that case, yes, we can use the word reserved. And Bashita, I think you also said something.
Why?
Quiet, yes, Q-U-I-E-T, quiet, right? So this is again another word which we can use. And any other words which you can think of? Right, I will just write another one, noiseless, right? So we say if somebody is talking and talking like me, he or she is very noisy. But if that person is not talking a lot, we can also, or else if the environment is not having much of a noise, we can say it is noiseless, right? Okay, so the second word, see, right? So any synonyms for see?
Look.
Look, yes, very good. Look, right. Right, so any other synonyms which you think we can use for see? So these synonyms, as I said, it may not be giving us the exact meaning, but yes, somewhat similar, right? So it may not be the exact equal, but it can be interchangeably used, right? So maybe one or two another words can you think of? So when you for the TV, what do you do? TV, what do you do? For the television, we watch, right? So we say this watch, it is not the watch which we use to check the time, right? So this is I'm seeing, I'm looking at the TV, or else I can say I watch the TV, right? Or else we can say some more words like observe, right? So I can say I kept looking at, or I kept seeing at a particular car. So I can say I was observing that car, right? So observe is also another word which we can use, right? And also another word may be weave, right? So weave, that means I can see, or else we can say my weave is clear, right? So we can say I can see that person who is coming far from that road, or else we can say my weave is clear, so I can see that person, right? So there can be different words we can use, right? And the next word, tasty. So can someone let me know what are the words which we can use for tasty?
Delicious.
Yes, very good. Delicious. Right. Delicious, delicious. So any other words which you think we can use? Right. Okay. So I will give you a couple of more words. So I think you might have heard mouth watering, right? So in Sinhala we know අපි කියන්නේ දැක්කමට කෙල බේරෙනවා ඒක දැක්කම රස වැඩි කමට කියලා. So likewise we can say in English mouth watering. So that means the thing which we see may be very, or some food which I'm eating may be very delicious. So we can say it is very mouth watering, right? Also, in some cases, you might have heard finger licking good. I think it is KFC, right? So that is also something which we can use when we are just talking about some food or something, right? So these are few words which we can use when it comes to tasty, right? And we'll move on to the next word, tiny. Okay, so can someone tell me what are the different words which we can use in place of tiny?
Small.
Yes, small. Yes, so any other words, anything you think that we can use?
Little.
Little, yes, we can say little. Anything else? Right. Okay. So we actually can use some words like we can say mini, right? So it is not exactly as I said, depends, right? So if we want to say it is a mini small car, we can say it is a mini vehicle, right? So likewise, we can use the word mini as well, right? Okay. So I think that is we have another word, right? So beautiful. Okay. So can you suggest any synonyms for beautiful?
Pretty.
Yes, very good. Pretty. What else? Anything else?
Nice looking.
Yes, nice looking. And anything else?
Attractive.
Yes, very good. Attractive.
Handsome.
Handsome. Yes, we can use it. So when it comes to using this beautiful and handsome, I could say we will have to use it very carefully, right? So we cannot say a boy is handsome, right? We cannot say my father, my brother, sorry, we cannot say my father or my brother is beautiful, right? So that is generally not the way we use, right? So if it is a female person, right? So it can be my mother, it can be my sisters, it can be my daughter, my friend. If your friend is a girl, we can say my friend is beautiful, my friend is pretty, right? But when it comes to a boy, right? So let's say we have Bashita here, right? So we cannot say Bashita is beautiful, but we will have to say Bashita is handsome, right? So the way we express that a male person, right? So it can be our father, our brother, our son. If he is a male person, we have to use handsome, right? So yes, beautiful and handsome, we can take it as synonyms, but when we are using it as synonyms, we will have to be very careful because we cannot actually say a girl handsome, right? So sometimes we have seen some people use it, but in proper English, we cannot use handsome for a female person, and we need to use beautiful, pretty, that everything can be used, and for a male person we will have to use handsome, right? So that is good that you actually suggested that word so that all of us know how we can use it, right? So there are many more words like elegant, charming, lovely, and delightful. So likewise, there are a lot of different words we can use in place of beautiful, right? So I hope you have added few words to your vocabulary. So this is what we need to do when we do these exercises or activity. Each day we need to learn something new. We need to add some new words into our vocabulary, right? We do not always need to use a lot of complex words, but even very simple ones, we need to have some variety so that when we are writing something, we know how to use this differently, right? And as the last exercise for today, actually I arranged one exercise, right? So here you are given a sentence, right? And you are given one word which is underlined. So from this underlined word, you will have, for this underlined word, you will have to see what is the similar word or the synonym for each of these, from each of these given words, right? So I would like all of you to try one by one these sentences, right? So that maybe you may not need to write this whole sentence, but maybe you can write beautiful and then what is the synonym for that, right? So because it will help you for your vocabulary. Okay, so who would like to start this exercise? Any volunteer to start? Yes, Ishini. We will give Ishini the chance for this time, Sulaksha, and maybe the second one you, right? So Ishini, would you like to try the first one?
Yes, teacher.
Okay, so you can read the sentence and then you can read the sentence including the correct word, right? So first read the sentence the way it is given, and then the second time you can read the same sentence but replacing the correct word out of these four at this place, right? Okay, Shini, you can go ahead.
The girls were surprised when they saw the beautiful flowers the delivery boy brought. The girls were surprised when they saw the pretty flowers the delivery boy brought.
Yes, very good. So it is pretty, right? So we already discussed about this. It is pretty. Okay, so Sulaksha, yes, you can try the second one.
Watching the movie with all of my friends from school was fun, but it was too long and lengthy.
Yes, good. So the synonym would be lengthy, right? So it says watching the movie with my friends was really fun, but the movie was lengthy or it was too long, right? Good. So maybe Bashita, would you like to try the third one?
Jennifer's roasted hot dog was ruined when it fell into the fire. Jennifer's roasted hot dog was ruined when it fell into the flame.
Fell into the flames, yes. So fire, right? So flame means the synonym for the fire. That means gini dal kela අපි කියන්නේ සිංහලෙන්. So that is what we mean by fire or flames, right? Okay. So we will go back to Ishini. So Ishini, you can try the fourth one.
The librarian asked the children to be silent because everyone was trying to study. The librarian asked the children to be quiet because everyone was trying to study.
Yes, very good. So silent, quiet. So this is something also which we discussed earlier. Right, Sulaksha, can you try the fifth one?
My grandpa made the new dollhouse complete with miniature few, uh,
Complete with miniature furniture for every room, right? So this how we pronounce it is miniature, right? So my grandpa made the new dollhouse complete with miniature furniture for every room, right? So miniature, can you guess, Sulaksha, what could be the synonym for miniature out of these four words?
tiny.
Yes, very good. So I think we talked about small, tiny, and also I said we can use mini. So that is how this miniature comes from, right? So we can use it as mini as well as here when it comes to the things, when we are expressing some things, we use it as miniature. So miniature means tiny, right? So very good. And we'll move on to Bashita, the sixth one. Can you try it, Bashita?
The boys on the soccer team were hungry after the game, so they went to eat pizza. The boys on the soccer team were starving after the game, so they went to eat pizza.
Yes, very good. So hungry, right? So when we have had our lunch, maybe about few hours ago, and if we did not have anything else, we will feel that I need to have more food. So that is what we mean by hungry, or in place of hungry, we can say starving as well. Right, okay. So the seventh one, I think it is Ishini this time.
Mr. Blackwell assigned a difficult project for the student to complete during their vacation. Mr. Blackwell assigned a hard project for the student to complete during their vacation.
Yes, very good. So it is Mrs. Blackwell assigned a difficult project for the students to complete during their vacation. So what do we mean by difficult? It is something which is not easy to do, right? So that is why we call it as hard, right? So here I think this caring, I hope you know what is meant by caring. So caring means, let's say, I have my friend, and if that friend is having some issues or having some problems and I'm helping my friends, I feel that my friend is not feeling good and I'm trying to help. So that is what we mean by I'm caring about my friend, right? So this word caring is also means I'm treating my friend or anyone else well, right? And the eighth one, Sulaksha, would you like to try?
The college professor was wise and gave the new students a lot of good advice. Wise and intelligent.
Yes, very good. So wise means intelligent, right? So we talked about intelligent earlier as well, someone who had a lot of wisdom, who has a lot of knowledge. So that is why we say the college professor, right? So professor is someone who knows about a lot of things in his or her own area. So we say a professor is wise, so we can say a professor is intelligent, right? Okay, so maybe Bashita, the ninth one.
Samantha's great grandpa is very old. Samantha's great grandpa is very elder.
Yes, very good. So very old means elderly, right? So, great grandpa means father of the grandpa as well. So that means he should be very old. So we can call such elderly people or such old people as elderly as well. Right. So the 10th one or the last one, I would give it to anyone who would like to try first. You can take it. Okay, Ishini, right.
During physical education, the children had to jump as far as they could. During physical education, the children had to leap as far as they could.
Yes, very good. So you need to jump. So what do we mean by jump is same as leap, right? So here what we have is swim, run, juggle. So juggle means we are playing with few balls. So the synonym would be leap, right? So I think with all these exercises, you are now more familiar with how we are going to find synonyms, how we are going to replace existing words by synonyms, right? So instead of using, as an example, difficult here, when you are writing your essay, maybe you can write hard, right? So next time when you are writing something, if you know something similar, think which one would suit better, as well as which would give a better sound, right? So when we are talking, as I said, I'm happy to see you, rather than telling I'm happy to see you, it is nice when I say I'm glad to see you, right? So likewise, try to see where we can use these beautiful words in place of these simple ones, right? So that is all about the synonyms. So after this, actually, I just wanted you to, since we are almost running out of the time, this one I would like to give you as the homework, right? So when you are coming to the lesson next or this Wednesday, right? So activity 4 in your workbook. What is the activity? Write the steps of making any of the following, right? So you are given 5 choices, right? Or a list of different things. Out of this list, you can decide or select anything you like to write about, right? And then you need to write the steps of making, right? So how we are going to make, right? So how to make a Vesak lantern, how to make a kite, how to make a dog, or else how to make any origami object or anything you would like, right? So even you can write how to make a cup of tea if you like, right? So anything, it is just a matter of giving the steps of doing something, right? So you can do this at home as the homework. I actually have one which I have written based on something which I liked, right? So instead of making simply a doll, I made it a cloth doll, because making a doll using plastic would be a little bit difficult. So rather I thought making a cloth doll would be better, right? So I wrote how to make a cloth doll, right? So I have written 7 steps. You can write any number of steps you would like. Maximum, limit it to 10 sentences, and minimum, make it 5, right? So you can write between 5 to 10 sentences. And when you are writing, make sure that, as I said, try to use synonyms for simple words. And also you need to make sure your punctuation marks, right? So when you are writing, always make sure that you use the punctuation marks correctly, right? So full stop, where I need to have the full stop, where do I need to have the commas? Because if I do not have these punctuation marks properly, the reader will not get the correct understanding, right? So I will just read my 7 steps, right? First, take some pieces of clothes, cotton wool, a pair of scissors, a needle, thread, and buttons. So I first say what are the things we need to make the doll, and then I move on to the next steps. Cut the clothes for head, body, hands, legs, and the dress. So the doll should have all these parts, right? So head, body, hands, legs. We need to see what are the different things we need to have in what we are going to prepare, right? And then the third step, stitch the head, body, hands, legs, and fill them with cotton wool. So I'm going to prepare a cloth doll. So we will have to fill, right? So after having the outer parts prepared from the clothes, we will have to fill it with cotton wool, right? So you can see here, that is how this doll becomes looking like a real person, right? And then the fourth one, stitch all the body parts together to make the doll. So earlier I had these parts separately, right? So I took legs, hands, body, head separately, and I filled them with cotton wool. Now I'm going to stitch them all together, right? And the fifth step is stitch a dress to the correct size of the doll. So the doll should have a dress, right? So we cannot have a doll. It is not nice to have a doll without a dress. So we need to stitch a dress for the doll, right? And the sixth step is create hair using black thread or a hat using clothes, right? So next we will have to, if it is a doll, if it is a female, even whether it is a female or male, the doll will have some hair, right? So we will either have to have some hair, or else we can just have a hat so that others will not see the bald head, right? And then the seventh or the last step is stitch I think here I have made a spelling mistake. It should be STITCH. Stitch 2 buttons on the face as eyes, along with a nose and a mouth. So the doll should have eyes, nose, and mouth. So we are going to stitch them as well, right? So what do we mean by stitch? Is api mahanawa kiyanne. So all here what we are doing is we are stitching, right? So we will have to take different parts using different pieces of clothes, and then we will have to put them together by stitching, and then we will have to have all the hair and then eyes, mouth, nose, everything we need to stitch, right? So this is what I wrote related to this activity. So as I said, you can write any topic, you can write on anything you would like on this, right? So take your time, take a little bit of time and think what you can write easily. As I said, what you need to have is you need to give what are the things which we need to prepare it, right? So take this, take that. If we need pieces of papers, maybe we might need a gum. Likewise, there will be different things we need to take. So that needs to be told first, and then we will have to give step by step how we are going to build the any object which you think you can build, right? So you can select any of these given topics or else anything else as well, right? So keep these things in mind, as well as I said, you need to make sure about the punctuation marks and everything, commas, full stop, everything, because that is going to make your writing meaningful, right? So if I did not have these commas, right? So if I go back, if I did not have these commas, you wouldn't actually get the meaning, right? So I will be just telling cut the clothes per head, body, hands, legs, and the dress. No meaning, right? So we need to have these commas to show the other person that there are 5 things here, right? Head, body, hands, legs, and the dress. So there are 5 different things. So in order to differentiate those 5 things, we need to have the commas, right? And then when we end a sentence, we will have to have a full stop, right? So generally when we are writing this kind of things, the punctuation marks mostly we will require would be only these commas and full stop. But other than that, we know we have exclamation marks and other punctuation marks also when we talk about other things, right? So we will talk about them later. I hope what you need to do here is clear to you, right? So since we have gone beyond the time, we will stop here for today. So I hope all of you will come with what you have written here. So you will get a chance to read what you have written, right? So be ready with what you are going to read at home and be ready. And then we will start the lesson on this Wednesday with what you have written, and then we will move on, right? Okay, so we can conclude the session here. If you have any questions or if you think I need to clarify anything, you can let me know. If not, we can end the lesson for today. Right. Okay. So I think I'm not getting any questions. So I hope everything we discussed today is clear. In that case, we will end the session today and we will meet day after tomorrow, Wednesday, at the same time. Right? Good night to all of you.
Thank you, teacher.
Thank
Good
you,
night.
teacher.
Okay.
Good night.
Welcome. Good night.
Good night, teacher.
Good night, Bashita.